They wanted your silence, not your soul. So they found someone easier to mute. You were too deep for their shallow thirst. They're replacing you because you reminded them of what they could never become. They didn't want your love. They wanted your absence. You made them feel seen. They mistook that for danger. They feared your knowing, not your flaws. You weren't too much. You were too real. Someone shallowness approved will be their next comfort. You were their confrontation. You touched their shadow and loved it. They chose someone who won't look. They're replacing you because you made them feel something ancient. Their souls shivered when yours spoke truth. They will soon miss the silence they once mocked. You didn't lose them. They escaped your mirror. You were a prophecy. They wanted a placeholder. They're choosing ease. You were meant for eternity. Their betrayal is loud, but your healing will echo longer. They left because you saw the wound before they bled. They'll replace you, but your name will haunt the walls. They chose surface. You were storm and sanctuary. You were the mirror. They broke it to forget. They didn't want growth. They wanted escape. What you gave cost you everything. What they wanted cost them you. You were love. They were fear. They're not replacing you. They're fleeing themselves. You cracked their illusion. That's why they're looking for someone duller. You awakened them. They wanted sleep. They'll smile again, but never like they did with you. Their soul will seek your voice in others. It will never find it. They'll say you were too intense. You were just sacred. The one replacing you can't carry the weight you held quietly. They thought distance would dim you, but you burn in their absence. You held their storm. They left you in the flood. You weren't chosen because you couldn't be controlled. They didn't choose wrong. They just chose what wouldn't challenge them. They will miss you when the silence begins to speak. You weren't hard to love. You were impossible to fake with. Your absence will be the loudest truth they ever heard. They'll post happiness, but they'll dream of your eyes. They'll find company, but not presence. You weren't the mistake. You were the mercy. Someone is about to fit where your soul once poured. Their comfort was louder than their conviction. They traded a lighthouse for a lighter burden. They'll say you were the past, but you were their turning point. The new person won't know the stories, but the shadows will. They ran from the one sent to heal them. You offered wholeness. They chose numbness. One day, they'll sit beside someone new and feel utterly alone. You planted seeds. They walked away before the bloom. If this touched your soul, don't scroll. Like, comment your favorite quote, and subscribe for more. Hey, replacing you, not because you failed, but because you revealed too much. You didn't break them. You showed them where they were already cracked. The new one won't see the ghosts behind their grin. You did. You were the truth. They're choosing a prettier lie. You loved them beyond their shame. They chose what wouldn't touch it. You stayed during the storms. They want someone who only visits sunshine. They never needed saving. They needed hiding. That's why you're gone. You awakened their soul. They replaced you to sleep again. They replaced your name, not your imprint. They'll hold hands with someone else, but ache in your memory. Your presence was prophecy. They wanted performance. You were holy ground. They weren't ready to stand there. They saw your scars and feared their own reflection. You asked questions their new person won't dare whisper. You were wild truth. They're settling for tame comfort. Your silence screamed. The new one won't hear it. They'll call it peace, but it's just your absence, dressed in denial. You gave them a love that could never be rehearsed. They'll pretend you were a phase, but they'll never move past you. They needed your fire to feel alive, then blamed you for burning. You were their mirror. They couldn't stand what stared back. Their new chapter still starts with your name. They'll replay your goodbye like a sacred haunting. The one replacing you is only there because they don't see it. You healed too loudly. That's why they silenced you. Your forgiveness frightened them. Their pride demanded distance. The new connection is lighter because it carries none of your truth. They picked simple over sacred, empty over eternal. They are already missing you in someone else's arms. The one who replaced you will inherit your echoes. You held space. They want someone to fill silence. You weren't soft enough to be used again. They needed someone they could lie to and still be loved. Your boundaries cost them their comfort. They'll forget your words, but never how your soul felt. The new one won't understand the cracks. You memorized them. You didn't fall apart. You were shattered and still offered grace. The absence of your eyes will dim every future sunrise. They buried the truth under someone else's smile. Their heart still belongs to you. They just gave away the room. They chose illusion over intimacy. You read their soul. The new one won't even ask. They'll crave the depth you gave in shallower waters. You became unforgettable by being fully present. They weren't ready for divine, so they chose digestible. You were love's reckoning. They ran from their own awakening. They're choosing easy. You were extraordinary. The quiet they felt with you was heaven. They'll notice the noise now. Your absence will teach them more than your presence ever could. If this touched your soul, don't scroll. Comment your favorite quote, and subscribe for more. You were the chapter they'll keep rereading in silence. They feared your depth, but now they drown in shallow connection. You saw their truth. They replaced you with someone who sees only charm. They wanted someone blind to their shadows. You saw it all and stayed. You were sacred disruption. They chose familiar destruction. You cracked open their soul. They preferred the safety of masks. Their new peace will be haunted by your war. You were too divine to be possessed. You gave them healing. They labeled it chaos. They'll hear your voice in moments they thought they were fine. You were rare. They treated you like background noise. They only knew what you cost them when the silence stayed. The new love is lighter, but only because it's empty. You were prophecy. They settled for a placeholder. Their soul cried the day you stopped chasing. You were the mirror. They wanted a mask. You gave them more truth than they knew how to hold. They ran toward easy love. It won't feel like yours. You saw the wound. They punished you for bleeding too. The one they chose won't challenge their shadows. You did. Your tears were prayers. They will become consequences. They thought they won, but you're the only thing real they ever held. The silence now has your name in it. You taught them intimacy. They now mistake convenience for love. They lost something eternal, chasing something instant. You were raw and real. That's why they ran. The one replacing you won't know the depth you held quietly. They'll forget your birthday, but never the way you looked when they lied. They'll say they moved on, but your memory walks beside them. You were too much light for their half-built home.